Good morning. Thank you to each of you for the respect that you are showing today as we gather for remembrance. In cities, towns and villages up and down this country, and in many other countries across the world, young men were gathering to join their armies. They stood in lines like you stand today, in lines alongside their friends. How did they feel? For many, as we read the accounts, in all honesty, they were quite excited. They thought it would be an adventure. They would get to travel and leave their homes. This may well have been how some of your forebears felt. The Milhillians, who in their day stood on this very spot and in their day followed the call to join up. Some of them were very young. Even though you were not supposed to have been able to join up before the age of 18, over 250,000 managed to get through the assessment. A few weeks training and then off to war. And soon the excitement wore off, because war was a terrifying, degrading and painful experience. They lived and died in a countryside which was blasted and bombed and fought over repeatedly. Beautiful landscapes turned into rivers of mud. And yet there was a notable and striking exception to the bleakness: the bright red Flanders poppies. These resilient flowers flourished in the middle of so much chaos and destruction, growing in thousands upon thousands. And so we come to the Remembrance art installation behind me. And thank you to all of you who have contributed to it. All 335 pieces. Of course, bunting is a familiar sight in our country at times of commemoration and celebration. Behind me, this bunting, as you look at it carefully when you have a moment, it captures both the barrenness of those fields of war and the beauty of the poppies. Look one way and you see only blank triangles. Look the other and you have that red beauty, the beauty that you have invested in the time that you've put in to make these pieces of bunting. And of course, war is full of such contrasts: barrenness and beauty, hatred and love, weakness and courage, brutality and kindness, the worst and the best of the human spirit. But there is another thing that I think about as I saw this bunting going up yesterday. Imagine these lines of bunting behind me representing young men standing in those lines, in the line for recruitment, for training, for transport to the front line, in the line going over the top of the trenches to attack the enemy. And sometime later, tired, worn out, dehumanized, they return. They get in line for their food, to pick up their rations, and they notice that some of their friends are not there. The lines are now smaller. There are gaps in the line. And many of those friends have been left behind, buried in shell holes, blown to pieces, their names not known and their graves not marked. Such was the fate of over 200,000 Commonwealth soldiers, whose grave simply says, "Known unto God." So in these lines we see gaps, friends never to return. And in a moment we will watch as these gaps are filled. These represent those who have no marked grave, but they are indeed known unto God, because all of them and each one of us is made in His image and loved by Him. So now, as the gaps are filled, I'm going to read some words from an ancient poem, a psalm written by a soldier himself. The Lord is my shepherd. I have everything I need. He lets me rest in fields of green grass and leads me to quiet pools of fresh water. He gives me new strength. He guides me to the right paths He has promised. Even if I go through the deepest darkness, I will not be afraid, Lord, for You are with me. Your shepherd's rod and Your staff protect me. I know that Your goodness and love will be with me all my life, and that Your house will be my home as long as I live. We'll just stand quietly for a moment as we see the poppies placed, the bunting placed.
No one imprinted their legacy on the school more than Sir John David McClure. His personality, his faith, his intellect, his public reputation have never since been equalled. One of McClure's most important contributions arose during the post-war years in the form of the Gate of Honour. McClure was adamant that there be a memorial of artistic beauty. This became a top priority for the War Memorial Fund, and in 1920 the Gate of Honour was opened by General Horne in a ceremony attended by the whole school. I watched from one of the schoolhouse common rooms. When the names had been carved, men came and painted gold leaf into the letters. When it was windy, we often saw bits of gold leaf being blown away. The Gate of Honour, together with the Honours List, commemorates 195 deaths in active service. McClure's intention for the gate was, in his own words, partly as a symbol of our thanksgiving for our brethren, partly as a solemn warning. With the first scholarships awarded to the sons of OMs killed in active service. McClure also championed the improvement of the facilities for science, owing to the great importance of the subject during the war. This led to the construction of the Science Building, which was completed in 1924. McClure's contributions to Mill Hill during his time as head still benefit today's pupils, and his impact can be felt throughout the foundation.
Guard of Honor! Halt!
Then said he, I am going to my father's, and though with great difficulty I am got hither, yet now I do not repent me of all the trouble I have been at to arrive where I am. My sword I give to him that shall succeed me in my pilgrimage, and my courage and skill to him that can get it. My marks and scars I carry with me to be a witness for me that I have fought his battles, who now will be my rewarder. When the day that he must go hence was come, many accompanied him to the riverside, into which, as he went, he said, Death, where is thy sting? And as he went down deeper, he said, Grave, where is thy victory? So he passed over, and all the trumpets sounded for him on the other side.
Let us remember before God and commend to his sure keeping those who have died in all countries in conflict and training, those whom we knew and those whose memory we treasure, and all who have lived and died in the service of humanity. They shall grow not old as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them. We will remember them.